And welcome back to Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show. I'm your host, Chad White. Excuse me. I get a little choked up. I got some news here. If you didn't know, this is the Late Night Show for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Hello, everybody. Welcome back in. We are, quite frankly, post a long-form nap. I'll give you a little. Here, I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. You don't have to come over here, buddy. You can go lay down somewhere. The last night, today's Friday. Today's the day I record. Today is also the day I put out the episode. Because that's when late night ends. So last night, I go to bed at my regular time, 9 p.m. I'm in bed, watching The Simpsons. I listen to a headspace thing, meditation thing, as ocean sounds, are playing on my Google Home Hub. Yes, it's two noises going on at the same time. However, Adobe gave me a free year of headspace, so I'm trying to use it. I go to sleep. I'm dead asleep because I've worked out yesterday for collectively 3 plus hours. How many hours did I work out yesterday? I did cycling, boxing, and yoga. So roughly 3, almost 4 hours. Didn't take a nap. Worked all day long. Took Maverick on a walk, on a nice long walk. Or a dog park, then the walk. Go to bed at 9 p.m. Wake up at what I think is close to my wake-up time of, and yes, I know this sounds insane, 3:45 in the morning, so I can go to the gym at 4. This is a very true thing. I do it every Monday through Friday. Because my neighbors who are constantly fighting and thinking a dog is going to solve that problem were, you guessed it, having a fight. They had a fight. It woke me up. I thought it was a part of a dream, and I went, oh, it must be close time to wake up. I sit in bed for what I think is a short amount of time. I roll over. I go, it must be close. It must be close to the time to wake up. It's 1:48. I go, pardon? Excuse me? How dare they wake me up? In my dream, I attributed it to was a washer dryer being destroyed. And in reality, it was them having a fight and slamming the door as hard. One of them slamming the door. And the only reason I know is it's a door slam. It's because my bedroom is connected to their second bedroom, where their office / dog crate is. The only reason I know the dog crate's in there is because that dog friggin' barks. Maverick reacted when I said dog barks. I knew I was going to take a nap today. I got through my workout. I interviewed a celebrity. And then I said, it's time to take a nap. I woke up at 5:30. Time to feed the pets. Now it's 6:16 and I'm finally getting this on the road. All right, this week in late night, we'll talk about this show more in depth later. But After Midnight returned after a 2-week hiatus, I believe. And they had, with a great lineup of guests this week. Jen Tullock and Michael Chernus from Severance were joined by Sunita Mani. And then they also had Jerry O'Connell, CBS mainstay, who I guess now has free time. Mayan Lopez. Ada Rodriguez, I believe that's her name. Yes. I recognize every beautiful lady's name. Anna Camp, Uzo Aduba, and Sherry Cola, who I have interviewed. I believe they also took a day off. I don't remember, but I feel like there was a day where After Midnight was not on. Then Colbert was on this week. There are 2 shows off, Last Week Tonight and Late Night with Seth Meyers. Colbert was on this week, and Michelle Buteau, Chuck Schumer, Seth Rogen, Megan Maroney, Jenna Ortega, Jake Gyllenhaal, Roxanne Gay. Those are the people that donned the couch and the stage, alongside Megan Maroney, who performed music on the show, which I don't know happens often. Speaking of things that don't happen often, Erin Maguire, comedian, hopped up on the show as well. I'm getting a phone call from Washington State, and I can't imagine who that is. Anyway, it's one. I double checked to see where and how often does stand up get performed on the late show stage. And I looked at, I immediately went, oh, they have to have a playlist. Went to the playlist. It has 90 videos in it over the course of, how long has he been hosting a late show for? Like 4, 5, 6 years, something like that. It's 90 videos, which doesn't seem like a lot. There's one unavailable that's hidden, one available video that's hidden rather. What, Maverick? Jesus. Oh my God, he's eating the cat's food. Lay down, buddy. Lay down now. Lay down. Go. Lay down. Before Erin, the last stand-up performed a month ago. That was Paul Mercurio. Before that, 2 months before that, was Saul Trulio. A month before that, it seems like they're on a month or a 3-month turnaround. I'll say that it looks like within the calendar year of 2024, 1, 2, 3, excuse me, let me try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 comedians they had in the month of 2024, in the year of 2024. That sucks. Comedy should be first and foremost the thing that is chosen when it comes to a late night show. Comedy and music. And yes, the interviews as well. But they should be trading those things on now. You know, when Conan was hosting his show on TBS, they had more comedy than they had music, I believe. Or I feel like it was a good mix. But then prior to that, on the Tonight Show and late night, it seems like there was a more even mix of music and comedy. I feel as though the musical performance is going the same way as stand-up, not just for late show, but for every late night program, with the exception of Fallon and Kimmel, Tonight Show and Kimmel. Because Tonight Show will still have people like Tate McRae, Mumford and Sons, things of that nature, but then also they do stand-up. They do less stand-up than I think they should. We need more stand-up. Bring back the stand-up. And then sometimes you'll see on the Daily Show, they'll have somebody perform. I know on Full Frontal with Samantha Bee, they had some performances as well, and I always thought that was strange. I feel like an interview is what those shows should focus on. I mean, RIP to Full Frontal. Anyway, the update, they did not leave a voicemail. Oh, that's so adorable. It was a recruiter. How dare you? Anyway. Moving on, Chris Distefano is the latest contributor. Yes, I did click on the link. He's the latest contributor to join the Daily Show stage. He talked about solving the world's problems, such as like Doge and things like that. He's a funny guy. I think he's a very funny comedian. Alongside that, Ronnie Chang took up hosting duties this week. Paul Rudd was interviewed by Jon Stewart. Mayor Michelle Wu from, I believe, Boston, was interviewed by Ronnie Chang as well, and so were Steve Coogan and Bill Murray. And then we also saw the return of the Sports War. It's another solid week of The Daily Show. For the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon had a great week, a packed week. Tom Segura, Marcus Mumford, Naomi Watts, Ed Sheeran, Kati Gatwa from the great Doctor Who. A Penn and Teller video I did not get a chance to see. A Penn and Teller performance I did not get a chance to see, and I've been meaning to, and I'll just add that to my watch later. That's what happens. I like to watch things too. Matt Bomer stopped by to talk about his new Hulu show. Charlie Crockett performed, and Paul Rudd. Why is Paul Rudd making the rounds? Also, this is notwithstanding. Paul Rudd. I've been watching a lot of rom-coms in the past 2 weeks, and don't worry about me. And Paul Rudd's in a couple, and the latest one I just watched was a friend rom-com. I Love You, Man. Oh my gosh, that movie's so great. I've seen it. I saw it in theaters when it came out, but it's just great to revisit. So often do I revisit action movies and sometimes horror movies. But when I was like way younger, I used to just before streaming, when it was just cable and there's no DVR. I would just watch on a boring afternoon or a day, whatever. I would just watch the same movies I had over and over again. And it's nice to get back. And a lot of them were comedy, and it's nice to get back to that. And then finally on Jimmy Kimmel Live, just another great week, doing those monologues that people love so much. Adam Scott, Pedro Pascal, Trisha Yearwood, Ike Barinholtz, Elizabeth Moss, Mama, the band, Adam Devine, Carey Mulligan, the wonderful, beautiful Michelle Monaghan, Jesse Wells, the band, John Grease, and Chelsea Handler. That's the name I pause at. All had a chance to be interviewed or play music. Oh, and Cameron Winter. I'm sorry, I missed out on that person as well. The Pedro Pascal interview is really great because he is so unlike every other Hollywood person. I like when people are very they show their dorky sides. I like that a lot. And then finally, Everybody's Live was on this week as well. Mulaney and his crew, they talked about funeral plans. And then, but the only clip that's available is on Still Watching Netflix on that YouTube channel, and it's not even the monologue. They did How to Die on Camera. That's the thing you share. I'm about to sneeze. Oh my God, I feel it. Oh, I'm a gentleman. Sneeze off camera. That was a good. I'm gonna rate the sneeze. The sneeze was a good pollen sneeze. But now let's get to the main story. I'm going to turn myself up. Let's get to the main story. After Midnight is coming to an end. After 2 seasons of this show. After Midnight's coming to an end. And unfortunately, it seems like, and not to place blame on anybody but CBS, it seems as though it is because Taylor Tomlinson simply just misses touring. And that's fair. And that's a great, valid, complete argument. However, in terms of who CBS is and the lengths that they went to have a 12:37 TV show after late show, only to cancel it after James Corden leaves his show, is such a bonkers thing to do. Just like CBS canceling the show is on par with them trying to right size the ship after the potential sale to Skydance and trying to make themselves seem leaner. But there's other things that could happen. Now people are going to be out of jobs. And I do not blame Taylor. I blame CBS and Paramount. This comes from Variety, written by Brian Steinberg. After Midnight canceled at CBS as Taylor Tomlinson focuses on stand-up. Now the show is it's a 4-day-a-week show. They shoot for 4 days, and Taylor would, like any comedian, any young comedian, we're the same age, any young comedian, I'm not a comedian now, would go out and tour on the weekends. She's been somebody who has been, I think she mentions her, I think she's bipolar. I'm not entirely sure. I think she suffers from bipolar disorder, but stand-up is her mainstay. And the only reason I mentioned the bipolar thing is I imagine that having this schedule but not the stand-up schedule has really screwed up with how she perceives herself as an artist. Things along those lines. Along those things of lines. Nope. Not words. But now the show is not going to be anymore because she decided not to continue on. So it's coming to an end in June. Taylor Tomlinson told Variety's Selami Hailu at South by Southwest in February, I'm doing less stand-up than I was before hosting After Midnight. I was on tour 3 weekends a month for years. So to take this job and to know that I was going to have to scale back a little bit was a very difficult decision for me. I wasn't sure if it was something I wanted to do or not because stand-up is the most important thing to me. Okay, I think that quote needs to be re-quoted. It's the most rewarding thing. I was very clear about that in the interview process. I was like, just so you know, this will never be my first love. This show will never be my thing. Stand-up is the most important thing to me. And as long as I can do both, I would love to do both. And then it just seems like there was a breaking point with that, which is fine. How many stand-ups have taken on the role of hosting a show, in their youth? I mean, I don't know why I said it like that. In their youth, and then B, when they weren't really hosts to begin with. And in terms of the show of After Midnight, it was an experiment to bring back the format of At Midnight, which was highly successful during the Twitter era, during the early Twitter era. Oh my God, what a time to be alive for late night. Oh man. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing. It was an experiment to bring that show back in this form longer. It was also an experiment to bring in a host who is not necessarily a host. She's a stand-up through and through. And yes, we've mentioned that already. Well, I'll talk about this in a second. In a statement, Tomlinson thanks Stephen Colbert, who helped produce the show, along with the staff and crew. Colbert also offered appreciation. I want to thank CBS for their partnership, for their constant support and an invaluable partnership on After Midnight, and the whole staff for their amazing dedication, he said in a statement. While we were excited and grateful for our third season to start in the fall, they would renew it. We respect Taylor's decision to return to stand up full time, and CBS said it would not fill that time slot. Many executives at networks owned by Paramount Global are loath to take big swings and run up more costs, says the person familiar with the matter. As the parent company pushes to consummate its acquisition, Jesus Christ, I'm so stupid, by Skydance Media, as many as 200 staffers could be affected, according to the person familiar with the matter. What really stinks is that these people will be let go. There's no saving. There's maybe 20 years ago, some of them would be, well, first of all, 20 years ago, they would just find a new host. But it stinks that this has to happen. And now these comedy writers, a lot of great comedy writers, have to find new jobs. I want to see who's writing on the show. I know Skylar Higley was one of them. And Connor Ratliff was another. Okay, I don't know how to spell anything. There we go. I looked for a writer as opposed to looking for the show itself. Oh my god, Chad, oh Chad, oh Chad, oh. Let's take a look at some of the people who were behind the scenes of the show. Sophie Buttle was a writer. Michelle is a writer, excuse me. I'm just going to name names because I don't know if these are current or not. Sophie Buttle, Michelle Davis, Joe Firestone, a head writer and a friend of the show. I interviewed her once. Gabe Gonzalez, Skylar Higley, Shanitra Jackson. Wow, I'm saying a lot of names I know. Meg Nuringer, Alexandria Love, Ismail Lotfi, Nori Reed, Jocelyn Richards, Sam Taggart, Dave Taylor Tomlinson, and Caroline Ulwick. Wow. That stinks. Also, was I Connor Ratliff? No, just appeared in the episode. I don't know why I thought he hosted. Yeah, man, that stinks. These writers are going to be without a job, and I wish them the best. And it really stinks that this has to happen. When After Midnight came to the network, it was obvious this was a much cheaper show than what's his name, James Corden's show was when that was on, but the only reason that show was so expensive was because they would do these massive stunts that would also, for the time that he was on, bring in so many viewers on YouTube. I want to say that that's true even up until the end of that show. This is the second show to leave late night in the last couple of years. Lily Singh, if you remember her show A Little Late with Lily Singh, that show, NBC and Lily parted ways over the direction of that show. I don't know if it's really a parting of ways. I feel like her contract ended, and then NBC was like, "We're not going to renew it." I don't know if that's necessarily true. Is that? I'm clicking through to this. Let's see. Okay. It seems like it was a mutual decision. The problem with A Little Late with Lily Singh wasn't that it was hosted by a YouTube personality, influencer, who was still trying to find their footing in late night, because that's very true. I believe they did not give her show enough time to expand. One of the problems was that it was caught up in the issues with COVID. So, in fact, when that show aired during the pandemic, I think they pre-recorded something like 20 or 30 episodes. Like they shot them so far in advance that when all the late night hosts had to go off and then they all came back, her show was still in studio, and I thought, what is going on? And no one was saying anything, but they were all new episodes. And I remember thinking, how is this possible? How are they doing this when we're all having to wear masks outside still? Because I remember John Cena was on, and I went, what? What is going on? And that's what I'm turning off the iPad because it is at 14%. That was such a crazy thing to me. And then that's when I knew, there's a huge disconnection with this show. They have to write these evergreen, and I've spoken about this before, they have to write these evergreen monologues. They have to have evergreen jokes, but the only things that are relevant are the interviews that are happening. When the show ended that first season and then it came back A Little Late with Lily Singh, things were different, obviously, because they were shooting in the pandemic in like 2021, I believe. And then they rented out a house, and they would have interviews over a TV in the living room, and they had like a small crew, and it felt guerrilla, and it felt more like what Lily was doing on YouTube, what she was doing on her Instagram. And that's when I think that worked best. That was that show finding its voice in the same way that Taylor Tomlinson doing a monologue was after midnight going, this is now we can finally open up and be ourselves. Really stinks. Because I think A, we need another woman in late night, but B, I think this is a way that these shows could have existed a little late and after midnight. At least in terms of a little late, it would have offered a different perspective to have a brown woman on. And also that show aired at 1:30 in the morning. There were no stakes. There were literally zero stakes. But I think that show would be gone now because NBC got rid of the band on late night with Seth Meyers. So, but they could have gotten a new host. They could have gotten a new host. In the same way, the Steinberg harkens back to Trevor Noah wanting to go back out and do stand up and just like end his Daily Show run. They still haven't found a new host. However, they're killing it with what they're doing over at the Daily Show. When he abruptly left, oh man, I remember that, and that scared so many people. They're like, "Are we gonna be out of jobs? What's gonna happen? Who's gonna be the host?" After Midnight wasn't as big as the James Corden Late Late Show, and that show was so expensive. And late night is just something that doesn't seem like it's going to be around much longer. It's not. It's much different than it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. So what's Stephen Colbert addressed? This is from Nick Ricardo over at Late Night, or Stephen Colbert addressed After Midnight's cancellation on his show. And you can go watch it on Instagram. But Colbert talked about how the show is ending in June. Oh, that's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. That's a statement. Okay, whatever. I wish that CBS was more willing to allow this to happen, because now they have to rely on Colbert's show, and it puts an uneven look on that show, on Late Show, a show that has typically been paired with a comedic follow-up, a less serious comedic follow-up. Letterman always had Ferguson. Colbert always had Corden, then Tomlinson. Now it's being paired with a less comedic. Now it's being paired with probably like the news or reruns. Paramount is a company that also owns Comedy Central. They also own The Daily Show. Well, if they did reruns of The Daily Show, they already do reruns of Yellowstone. They're already working on a Yellowstone spinoff procedural for CBS. I wrote a story about Yellowstone, and I did not know that they were doing a Yellowstone spinoff procedural for CBS. And I wrote a story about it for work. And I recorded the second half of season 5 of Yellowstone. I watched 2 episodes, so I'm not caught up at all. I still have like 4 or 5 left to go, however many are in the rest of the season. And I thought that was going to ruin the show for me. Anyway, it just sucks that they're not giving this more time, because it seems like they were really willing to. I feel as though if the show was garnering more viewers online, and in that I mean in terms of YouTube, in terms of TikTok back and forths, in terms of Instagram likes, then they would be reluctant to cancel it, and they would try to find a new host. But it's just so young at this point that I feel that they probably feel as though they can just say, "Hey, let's just end the show. Let's save the however many millions that we're spending on it," which again was dwarfed by what's his name, Corden's show. I wish they also, in this time that the show is on and has been on, they would bring in more comedians from the at midnight phase of the show, or the at midnight version of the show. Because as I scroll through the IMDb, they reused a lot of the same people, which I'm sure is great to just like be able to call up, hold on, let me scroll up and choose somebody and pick on somebody. I'm sure it's great to be able to call, hey, Vinnie Thomas, let's go. Kurt Brownover, let's go. But let's bring in some people from the older times. Taylor Ortega was on 5 episodes. Good for her. Sandy Honig was on 4. Good for her. Sherry Cole was on 4. Andy Richter. Late night it's going to become a desolate wasteland is the first phrase that comes to mind. It's going to be a desolate wasteland at some point, and I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. And if it changed this much in, what year is it? 2025. If it changed this much in 10 years, I feel like we're on an accelerated path to it being eradicated in 10 more. When Kimmel leaves after his contract is up in less than 5 years, will ABC follow suit with no late night show? And then they'll be out of the running because Kimmel is their late night show. They hired him in like what, 2000, and then or 2002, 2003. And then when Colbert's done, I don't know. I don't want to pretend like I would know when he will be done. But when Colbert's done, will CBS say, "All right, that's it. We're no more late night shows"? NBC has been rumoring themselves to give back the 10 p.m. to affiliates. That was like 2 years ago at this point. But after Fallon leaves, I feel like Fallon will stay for a little bit. But after Fallon leaves, will they just be done with the Tonight Show? After Lorne Michaels leaves, will they be done with SNL? TBS is out of the original programming game, and American Dad might be going back to Fox. But there's no telling if and we know Netflix is willing to cancel their late night shows. So there's no telling if any of these will be around. Will the Daily Show be able to withstand a regime change and also not having a host for a lengthy period of time? They have to be willing to find other ways. One of my favorite parts of Seth Meyers' show, it's not really my favorite part. One of the parts that I admire about Seth Meyers' show is that they do brand, and now Kimmel does this as well. They do branded spots, which is, this is how they're going to have to survive. They've been doing branded spots for a long time, and so is Kimmel. They make funny things about these branded spots, and then that's it. Funny bits with these branded spots. Conan did the same thing. Oh gosh, I'm gonna miss late night eventually when it ends. Now there's going to be a rapid movement towards the shows not being around anymore. All right, listen. If you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where I've got interviews with your favorite entertainment personalities. If you want to see a video version of this show, a video version of the interviews, a video version of the other podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, the Jobs podcast, and the Constitutionals, the Entertainment Business News podcast, you can find those on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. That's where all the video lives. If you want to subscribe to those shows, wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Blue Sky, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram @cpluscomedy. Me @ChadBlackWhite. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.